Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast room. Today we have a nice one. I'm sitting with my guys. This is the media room. To my left, we have Quan Williams,
Grammy nominated. Grammy nominated Quan Williams.
Grammy, y'all. Let's give it up for Quan for a Grammy.
No,
Insert, I don't feel like it.
Not at all.
Insert applause effect right here.
No, you don't have that graphic.
How y'all doing?
To my right, we got the pastor, the EP, the AP.
Oh, hey, timestamp that. Timestamp that. Oh man, timestamp that one. Yeah.
What?
I tell you.
I'll tell you what it means later.
And I know exactly where you going.
no, we can clean that. We'll clean that up.
So, to my right, we have the pastor. Y'all don't know what just happened. It's all right. The Pastor Eamon Washington.
Good evening, guys.
And we have Stephon Lawrence. So today we're talking about media, all things social media, what it is, what it's not, how it's impacted church. So as Pilgrim Church, we've seen broadcast and media all our lives.
Absolutely.
At least, y'all. I came in on like the tail end of it with like the Eagle Awards and Bishop Brown doing a whole bunch of broadcasts like every week.
Yes.
He was on the news and all that great stuff. How important is broadcast and media in regards to the church?
I think let's start with just really acknowledging like how dope our dad was.
Yes.
For what he did.
I had to.
Yes.
Well, first of all, we grew up having to do broadcasts, radio broadcasts. He was one of the first people in New York to do that. I believe it was every like Sunday night.
Every Sunday night.
Broadcast. And then he took us all over the city, Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
We just had like all types of stuff always going on. We were on the Word Network for years. I think it was like midnight.
Yes.
We were doing broadcasts. We were just always been trailblazers. We've always been ahead of it. It was always, Bishop Brown knew. We were streaming for a long time. It used to be called a live stream.
Yes.
Livestream.com. We were doing that before everybody else was doing that too.
Yeah. Wow.
So we were always ahead. Bishop always knew the power of media. I always think to myself, if he was alive right now with the power of media, he would be driving us.
He would be driving us up the wall. You hear me? Because as he would like to call it, son, we got to put it on the telecast.
Yeah.
Telecast. He would drive today with the technology being at our fingertips, it being so easy to just press a button and go.
I think
he would go absolutely insane because he was always forward thinking, always thinking ahead. Right? And he would always say, "This has to get out to the world. The world needs to hear this. The world needs to see this." He would always push the kids and like.
I was going to say that he would always put other people on his broadcast.
Always.
It was never always about him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We had a broadcast. It was live on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
And he put like Bishop Turpin and just like a series of preachers. And I'm just like, this man is amazing to me. He was just always so amazing. But yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
Doing it for a while, and that was, Bishop Brown was definitely one of the most creative when it came to doing those things. He always had a vision. When I first got here, he was talking about the Eagle Awards.
Wow.
And it didn't happen until 7-8 years later. But we were meeting about the Eagle Awards for 7 years before it actually took place, because he wanted to make sure that everything was down to a science. Like everything was running smoothly, and we got to get this type of camera and that type of camera. We need this. Oh man, like
broadcast, and then on top of that, we did albums.
Yes.
Right. What was that? The 70s or the 80s? I think both, right?
Both. I think both.
So we were
Both.
putting out albums. He was producing his own in-house books and material. Like when he taught leaders, he would develop it and actually print it out here and have them create booklets. Books is also, we don't read a whole lot now, but books is part of media also.
Yes, it is.
I'm telling you, the legacy and the inheritance that we have here from Archbishop is so crazy.
Amazing.
I think that's why I take it so serious, because I know what it would have meant to him.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And you can't mention being a creative and not mention, you can't mention creativity and ministry and don't mention somebody like Archbishop Roy Brown.
I think so.
You can't.
So true. You would come into the building and know what season it was because of how he decorated the building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
that stuff's so important.
Now churches are doing that. Different churches are doing it now, not knowing that Bishop Brown was like one of the first to like set up a stage or a sanctuary or a lobby and to reflect what the world was doing.
Yeah.
First time you saw dancers on screen in a church for me was Pilgrim Church used to come on Channel 9. Me and my grandmother used to watch Pilgrim Church on Channel 9, and you would see dancers going across the screen with flags, and the place was so packed. I used to be like, one day I'm going to play at this church.
Yeah.
Prophetic.
From a kid.
Grammy nominated and prophetic. Watch yourself. Watch your tone.
Careful.
Watch your voice.
The prophet is Malik, so we're going to...
Let's not do this. Well, to the point where today media is in every single church. You can't go to nobody's church.
Absolutely not.
And not find a stream, not find a camera, not find a light.
Now, the quality of that stream, it's debatable.
That's different. But everybody is streaming. Everyone has access to everyone's church. How important is streaming now? Is it too cluttered? Is everyone doing the same thing? What do you think?
I wouldn't say it's cluttered, right? Because normally in this space, you would probably say something is oversaturated, right? But I've always wondered, what does Facebook numbers look like on Sundays? Because Sunday, all I get is notifications, and I don't even follow all these churches, but it's like so-and-so church going live, so-and-so church going live. And it's always at different times too. That's another thing too. I think everybody's kind of like getting hip to like, oh, okay, well, if this person goes on at 9:30, I'll go on at 8:30, and then we'll have a 10:30 service, and then we'll have a 12:30 service. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's oversaturated. I just think as the body of Christ, we're not all being as creative as possible. Some people just go live and it's literally just, you see them shouting for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing to it. Some people go live just because they actually have the capability of going live. There's no real thought.
That's a part.
You know? Like, there's no real thought into it. So there's literally, a lot of people don't use cameras. We're actually privileged here at Pilgrim Church.
Yeah.
Like, we're very, very privileged. Some people don't have access to the cameras. I'm not going to look that way. Some people go live from their phones, which is not a bad thing. Yeah. iPads, right? But we lack creativity. I will go out on a limb and say we lack creativity as a whole.
The church.
Yes.
This church, or you mean the church world?
The church in general.
The body of Christ. Excuse me. I am not talking about us. I would just say us as a whole.
I think there's a lack of creativity. I'm sorry, Steph, I interrupt you, but there's a lack of creativity because people don't know how necessary it is or how important it is.
I think so too.
And I think the part that we've got to start preaching and persuading people to understand is that it is a presentation of how you represent God. That's what streaming is. It's not about turning on the camera. It's okay, what are you presenting to God? Yeah. How are you representing God today? Yeah. And if this was how God was judging your work as a leader, would you be okay with what you're turning on stream and showing? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So firstly, leaders who are listening to us, like, understand how important, how necessary it is to have something that is worth presenting, not just to your church or to the people watching, but it's to God, right? We are presenting to God. That's why it takes quality. It takes intention. It takes direction. Yeah. I think that's why there's a lack of quality, a lack of creativity. People don't understand how important it is. They think it's just something they have to do because they did it during a pandemic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But this is how I'm representing the teaching, the preaching that's going on in our temples. So it's extremely important. So don't think it's just about flipping on something. It's about your presentation and how you represent yourself to God.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Steph, you was going to say something.
No, to answer the question, I was just going to say that, like, I don't think it's such thing as oversaturated. I think it's just like, there's a million channels on your cable, YouTube, TV, whatever you watch, and I think there's something for everybody. Yeah. Right. And I just the same approach where it's like, okay, cool. Yes, there is some certain things that's high quality. You got like a high quality show like Succession, and then you got your shows on Tubi. That's still just as
I enjoy me a good
people. People love it, and it's horrible quality, but it serves a purpose. And I think like it's the same thing. Like, it's like, there are certain churches who are more creative with how they push out the message. There are other churches who it's like it's one person standing up that's preaching, and it's like if somebody that's watching it, that's what they want. They don't want all the bells and whistles. They just want to hear that. That's good. There's other people who want the creativity, and I think every Facebook Live that notification you get is just a different channel. And it's like, okay, that's the channel that works for me.
You know what? That was a very, very good perspective, Steph. Thank you for making me look like the villain.
That was very,
So how do people? Because I think I've been pretty lucky here. Is like we've had young people who grew up in ministry knowing media. So how does a leader start to develop their media team, right? Because there's someone who's like, I just don't have what you all have. Never mind the cameras. Because the truth of the matter, even if you don't have the cameras, but you have the minds or the people who are willing, they will figure it out for you. So to a leader who doesn't have that, how do they develop that? Where do they go from there?
I mean, honestly, if you don't have any in your church, it's an investment. Like the same way that like if you don't have a musician, if you need a organ player, you go find an organ player. Yeah. If you don't have an organ player that's at your church, you go find one. Like because you know, if you look at somebody and you admire or their stream or whatever, it's nothing but a reach out to say, hey, you guys do that. Is it possible I can talk to whoever's over your media team? I don't have X, Y, Z, but I just kind of want to know where to start. I mean, every church is different. Every situation is different. So it's hard to say. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, we've been blessed to have that here where we've been able to kind of pull from this one and this one is good at this, or they can learn that. But yeah, everybody doesn't have that, but it's like, you know, it's just the investment, the time to go find that person, especially now where everybody's doing it. Everybody thinks that they're a social media expert. So it's like, okay, it's not hard to find. And it's just like, you just gotta, you know,
don't become discouraged. Let's reach out for help. Because you know, one of the things leaders do have they are anointed, but they have egos, and sometimes they don't reach out because they don't want people to know they need help. But if you know you need help in streaming and something you want to be involved, look at who you have around you who is doing it right and reach out, because we could send somebody to train your team. We could help you develop a team. I mean, not us. I'm just saying we're top notch, but we could absolutely.
We really can.
There could be anyone around who could help train your team. Don't think it's not necessary, because it absolutely is necessary. And the quality is, I want to just stress that the quality of a thing, very important. It's necessary. I am so disappointed when I turn on streams and see the lack of quality, because to me it shows low effort.
Yeah, it's giving BCAT.
It's not about, in this day and age, right? I bought a Steph, you helped me with it. A Mevo. I bought a Mevo to do stuff. It cost $400, but the quality of the Mevo, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was good enough for what I needed to do. Sometimes we're settling because we don't know or we don't care about the effort.
That's what I was going to say.
That's the part we really got to focus on.
I think it starts with caring about how important the media side
that's what I was going to say, It's the change of mindset. If you understand that the media department in your church is not just a place where you send bad kids to get out of bad things, whatever, but you actually have to invest time and be like, hey, the media department is the first look of the church.
Yes.
Before your usher, before your greeters, before your door.
They're checking your social media.
They're checking your social media.
Website,
they're like,
Instagram.
I heard about Pilgrim Church. Let me go see them on IG. Yeah. You scroll on Pilgrim Church. Oh, they have flyers. They have live stream that people praying. Now I want to come. Now I want to test the waters. And then now that's your first step into either becoming a member or whatever. But your social media and media is your first look.
That's so important too, because even before you get to their stream, they look at your social media. So what is social media? What are the do's and don'ts of social media? And it took us a long time to get here, I want to say.
Yes, it did. Hallelujah.
So we're not talking out of
hallelujah.
We've been through it. But what does it take? What should people be doing to develop their social media? What should it look like? First of all, don't use your social media as a bulletin board.
That's very true.
Right? Yes, it's not just about your service dates and times. It's people want to see how you're living. They want to see behind the scenes
connection,
stuff.
which would be content creation is very, very important.
Everything is content.
To everyone's social media. I don't care what you do. Content creation, because people like to see the behind the scenes. People like to have things that are engaging, make you think, make you want to speak, make you comment. You know what I mean? A lot of churches in the beginning would just have things that just didn't tell a story well. You know what I mean? Imagine me, right? I'm coming from the projects. I just happen to scroll and somebody sends me, yo, check out my church. And I go to the church and all I see is people falling out, foaming out the mouth. I'm not going to go further than that. Just imagine. Yeah. That's all you see. And then if that's not it, then it's just a bunch of flyers that say, come to us on this day at 11 o'clock. Come to us on this day at 11 o'clock. Come to us on this day at 7:30.
And there's nothing to connect you to what you're actually seeing. You're seeing flyers and
yes,
you crying out, screaming, ugly faces, but there's no personal content. There's no you seeing the leader like behind the scenes, how they're preparing for sermons, how they're living throughout their day, their family life. You don't see none of that, so you can connect with them.
And then you do have nothing but flyers, and the flyers don't make sense.
Yeah,
it's a fresh fire service, but there's doves on the flyer. Like, what are we doing?
Is it a funeral?
Like, what are we doing? And I know it sounds funny,
rest in peace,
but I'm telling you, that's why ministry is so much bigger than just being called to preach.
Yeah,
you got to cultivate every department.
Cultivate everything.
Ministry.
Treat everything like a production.
Yeah.
I love the show Succession. Why? Because they give you the backstory on each character. Then they show you how they are as a family. Then it brings it, you know what I mean? Then it goes forward. Then it comes back. Like, give it everything. Don't just stop at y'all shouting, singing, and preaching.
Yep.
There's more to life than that.
Absolutely.
Put some practicality in your social media. Put some practicality in your content. We do something now, right? Very, very great idea. It's probably the most simplest thing in the world, but people gravitate toward. Praying for you for the week.
Yeah.
That is probably the most relatable thing. Everybody needs prayer.
Yeah.
Everybody. Now you want to make sure you get the right people up there praying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might want to screen somebody first because, you know what I mean? You don't want a bunch of Father God, Father God, Father God. You know what I mean? Like, you want to make sure that they actually know what they're saying, right? Yeah. Having a good conversation with God and letting people understand that this is a dialogue here. You know what I mean?
Because what that is doing is you are answering a need. People, Monday morning, people sometimes wake up at 6, 7, 8 in the morning. They're rushing, they're brushing their teeth, they have kids. They don't probably have time to really get the prayer that they want. So you standing in that space for them.
Time to pray.
You know what I'm saying? But like I think social media for the church is you answering a question, answering a problem that we're having.
Come on, satisfying prophet. A need.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Come on, prophet. Speak.
That's
prophet.
so good, though. Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. And your church page
is the social media prophet.
It's not just about spotlighting, and it's not about spotlighting your pastor. Your pastor should have their own personal page.
Own ministries page.
Yeah.
The church is about what's going on in the church.
Yeah.
I tell everybody that. Pay attention. I love TD Jakes. TD Jakes is like the go-to.
But he has a separate page.
TD Jakes Ministries is different from the Potter's House. And on the Potter's House, they highlight everybody.
Yeah.
From the praise team, to the musicians, to assistant pastors, to the preachers coming up, to the dancers, to the people on camera, to the people on staff. They highlight everything there.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's mumbling over there. But okay.
Please leave me off.
He's, by the way, he's not telling the truth. But yeah, pastors, have a separate page. Let your church be your church and your ministry be your ministry. If that makes sense. I am the last one to be telling you guys this type of stuff. But because I am on staff here at Pilgrim Church, where we are located at 628 Central Avenue and have service every Sunday at 11:30 a.m., I am going to tell you just a little bit of what I have come to know in my years of being here, which we are led by, well, not led, but our executive pastor is.
I don't know what he's. So yeah. Yeah. So
social media on point.
Yeah. So social media on point. You know what I mean? Let your social media be versatile. No, for real. I hope you guys are like, and even with our personal, like you're developing your personal like pages, like let it be reflective of who you are. We don't want to just see you doing one thing, right? On my page, it's not just me preaching. Good. It's me with my children. It's me with my friends. It's me just reading a book. It's whatever. Like show different sides of yourself.
The culture of the church.
The culture of the church. Right.
Highlight the culture of the church.
Yeah.
Like we have so many things that go on here, right? We have God's gift, we have Fresh Fire, we have seniors, we have middle age, we have whatever the thing is, it should reflect a little bit of everything that goes on in your church. So that way, somebody who's just scrolling could just be like, yo, you know what? I kind of like what they got going on here. You know how many people like literally can just, even if they don't necessarily come to the building, that will lead them to a stream. That will lead them to a stream, which will lead them to becoming a member or partner, whatever you guys call it today. And that would, no shade. Yeah. That would, it's just a good thing. I'm not going to say too much more. I'm going to give it back to the prophet.
Speaking of culture, if someone's wondering, like right now, I'm trying to develop culture for my social media, for my church. How does one develop a culture to show on social media?
Ooh, I'm gonna leave that to the culture pastor.
Who's that?
You are like a culture pastor to me.
Because
you've developed cultures.
So how you develop culture, you got to nail down what's most important to you. You got to be honest, and you also got to develop personalities.
Yeah.
If you as the leader, you are the only personality that's being developed in your church, chances are you are building a cult and not a church. Because in cults, that's the only important person is the leader.
That's heavy.
But churches should be developing every person. Yeah. That's why I consider the couch is sitting in a podcast room with 3 other people, because it's not just about me.
Yeah.
And that's something that we work very hard on doing is your culture should be building other people. That is number one. That is, of course, God is ultimate. But number one is, what is my church doing? What is the ministry doing to build people? Build gifts, right? Yeah. It's something I've always said is I want you guys to realize, I want you to be gifted, but I want you also to be able to use your gift for church. Yeah. Be gifted, be great, because we will use you and then point people back to your gift. Yeah. And you can succeed and be successful because you are pouring your gift into the church. Yeah. So I think that's important, is what's important to a leader, right? How are you guys explaining God, and who and how are you developing others? That's the keys for developing culture, I think.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about developing culture? How do you develop culture for social media? Also, I want to say this, and then we'll come right back to it's realize that social media is the way you keep record right now.
Yeah,
right?
Literally.
Yeah, and literally. I want people to understand that your record keeping
matters.
Like history, yeah.
Yes, for history. I would say social media culture goes into everything as far as the colors, the fonts, things on your page should be a little uniform. You know what I mean? Like if you go to somebody's page and it's just a bunch of stuff all over the place. It's just, you know what I mean? Like you're kind of saying to me that your mind is all over the place. Like you don't really care about what's going on, because to us, social media is very important. We know that, right? So yeah, I would say start with uniformity as far as colors.
Yeah, that's good.
Fonts, the way your videos are shot. Right? Like people don't really understand how important. Let's talk about that for a second. How important is actually capturing the shot? Like actually telling the story, getting the experience of the service, which actually matters as well too.
Yes, that's very true. I did a podcast the other day with this girl from All Nations, and she was mentioning how she feels like if what she creates makes a meme, then she has lost for the day. If what she shot becomes a meme, then she
like a silly meme.
Yeah, how what we shoot in church is not a joke. It's not to make fun. It's not to become a part of church laughs, whatever.
Well, yeah,
but you are.
I follow that. You have me crack up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But you the media team is called to essentially is capture the glory of God, to keep record, as you said, to be history writers. So if while you're writing, there was a meme or a joke, or if your intention was to catch a silly moment to be posted and go viral, then you kind of missed the point. We're called to be scribes in the kingdom, and if something like that happens, I feel like you do lose.
So all right, so church happens, I'm on camera, and Sister so-and-so just has a Baptist fit. Should I not zoom in while the glory of God is happening and she's actually having a moment? Should I not go there, knowing that she's like she's really?
I think it all depends.
I mean, I think that goes back to, I mean, that's a collective thing, because it's like, yes, in the moment, 9 times out of 10, you're going to go get the shot. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you don't have to post a shot on your Instagram when you're cutting up clips. Because now when it's like, okay, do you need that moment? Like, what is that moment saying? Because if the purpose is we want to reach people who don't know about church, if they see that, is that going to draw them to church or push them away?
Yeah, right.
Because they're like, I don't know what that is. Nah, that's that voodoo. I'm not with that. I'm out. So it's like in the moment on a live, yes, on an hour and a half live, The people that see it, 9 times out of 10, the people that are watching your live, they understand the church culture by that point. But you're not going to make that moment a clip.
Yeah.
Because the clip now that you're putting on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, that's what you're using to reach people. You're not using your hour and a half live stream to reach people. That's for the people who are already
this
here.
Is interesting.
That's so good. It's like, okay, you're asking yourself, what does this moment mean? That I'm because I was a little torn because I think that we sometimes take things too serious. A lot of people are not attracted to church because they think it's like a cemetery. But if you sometimes show people laughing or, you have funny moments. Today in church, we were laughing about a few things. Like sometimes it's okay to laugh. So I don't know how I feel about not going viral because of something funny or like church at the end of the day is a church, but it's where regular real people are. So sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes funny things happen. We're not the church where it's like, oh, don't show. Like, it's not the Vatican. Some people call us that, though. I know who you are.
Watch it.
But we're not the Vatican.
Keep that in there, too.
We're not the Vatican. Like, things happen, and it's okay for you to feel like the church is in the real world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're not so spiritual that we're no earthly good.
That's also very true. Okay.
So I get what she's saying, though. But I wouldn't say that you failed because you want to represent, you want to show what it was like to really just be a part of a church. I think.
And sometimes funny moments can happen in the church. But
Absolutely.
We're not talking about the moment where Sister Sister So-and-so is looking like Martin. Remember the episode of Martin where the mama went to church? that was hilarious.
Put that clip in there. But I think it's important though too. Those who are working in social media, you're saying to yourself, and that's why I wanted to ask you that because you work the control room, so you're seeing everything before they see it. How do you know what shot to get? But when you're asking yourself, okay, what does this shot mean?
Yeah.
How could this shot be interpreted?
Yeah.
See how that makes it more than just me with cameras.
Yeah.
It's like you're the one showing. What everybody is seeing. And you're asking yourself, okay, what does this mean? What will this mean to my leader? What will this mean to the church? You know what I mean? So what else are you looking for when you're in a control room?
Yeah, that control room is very, very important. It's very, very important.
Do you recommend that one person works the control room?
No.
Like I know like a show like Regis and Kelly, well not Regis, but whoever she's with now, there's like multiple people working in a control room.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad? Like what most
you mean
churches,
like a week or like just in charge of it? Like,
at one time.
At one time.
Service.
No, well, I mean, some of that is like on bigger productions, you have people who are just watching the monitors. So when you have 7, 8, 9,
yeah, it's interesting.
Somebody's just watching, or 1 or 2 people that are just watching that are just saying, okay, yeah, go to that shot. And then the person is actually controlling it. All they're doing is doing what the director is telling them.
The director is actually telling them to do.
Yeah, so
that
like the director is saying, go to camera 2, and then all they're doing is doing that. So the director is just solely focused on the screen. So I mean, we're not there yet, but it's like we have
something like that play out in a church well?
Yeah, I mean, in bigger churches, they have that. They do that where it's like, yeah, I mean,
yeah, I definitely saw a clip. Did y'all see the clip of one of the pastors? I don't know if y'all want to name people here. He went and like he did a beat or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But on his way to the studio in the church, you kind of got a glimpse of what the control room looked like, and I was like, oh, he got a whole ESPN.
Yeah, no, the bigger churches have that because that's how in regular like TV production studio, that's how it's set up. It's set up where it's like, yeah, you have multiple. When you got 7, 8, 9 cameras, one person can't be looking at all of the angles and trying to figure out the buttons.
Got it.
So yeah, you have people that's calling it. That's actually just the tech. That's like actually doing it. You have people like the director that's calling, do this. You might have a second person.
So you have more than 3 or 4 angles, then it'd probably be best. I mean,
we're at 3.5. Like if we doubled up and got 6 cameras now, then you need because it's impossible for me to watch everything because like in a high moment of worship, there's gonna be multiple things going happening on where it's like, okay, that's a nice shot. Now I'm looking at this shot, but I missed this monitor where something else is going. So you'll need it.
And there you have it, ladies. Switching 101.
And what'd you say? What'd you say you're looking for? How do you know what shots to put?
I mean, I think it's like it's knowing. It's reading the room, like because there is a intimacy that somebody is having where you don't want to invade, but it's like you want to capture the moment. So it's really hard to explain, but it just kind of comes with being in it because it's like every shot isn't okay. Somebody's crying. Let me come here and be in their face because you're distracting them and it's just awkward. Yeah. And it's like you don't want it to be awkward. You almost want them to feel like you're not there. So it's like, okay, that they're not looking at the camera person where it's like, yeah, I can be over here. I don't need to be right there. And I've tried to tell the camera people this sometimes too, even when like prophecy is happening and like you might be in the audience or Bishop is in the audience, like you don't have to be right next to you to get it. Like there's Zoom, just stand up back. Zoom, we want you to get it because as long as like we're showing it, I mean, we're showing what's happening. So it's like, as long as that's cool to show and it's not something that's super personal where it's like cut the streams. It's like, yeah, we're showing it, but we don't, there's a way to go about it. And there's a way to do it.
You're being sensitive about what you're showing, you know?
Do you guys have like favorite people? Because, okay.
What that mean?
We had like a real funny moment on our stream today. Like if you go back and watch later on, right? There's a lady, I think she's fairly new here. I don't know who was on that camera, but she was enjoying herself clapping. And she looked up at the screen and realized she was on the joint, and she got so serious. Mm-hmm. I laughed so hard because it was almost like she was like, and then she looked up and said, and I was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't go to her.
That'd be the worst moments.
So my question is like, do you actually have like favorite people who you go to in service? Like, okay, I know this person's going to
there's certain people, over time, it's just certain people you know who don't care about the camera. Or honestly, there's certain people when they turn it on, they turn up a little bit more. Okay. And then like they turn it on, like you see them look and they see, oh, like I'm live. And then they go a little bit more. Like, but it's, and then there's other people who just like, they don't care because they're really having that moment.
Yeah, so they're not thinking about like that all the time too sometimes. Yeah, they see it on the camera, like,
both of them today too. Both of them today had their hands
They love the camera,
But for sure. I mean, it's just. I mean, but that's like just the fun, like not the fun of like, okay, that's my goal. If all else fails, I know get a shot of. They gonna be involved. Yeah,
I love that. I love that. Okay.
So how important is being creative to this process also?
I think it's very important because I think as the director, someone who's in charge of the board, you're not just in charge of the board. You're in charge of like the screens. Like if something goes wrong and all the camera people telling them like how to get the shot is as important as picking the actual cameras. Walking them through, hey guys, zoom in slow, or like pan from left to right. These are like creative decisions that you have to make to add to the experience of the stream. Mm-hmm. So it's not just like camera one, camera two, go, because you're not just allowing them to pick the shots, but you're walking them through it.
Oh, okay. So like, do you guys like send them looking for shots? Like, okay, camera two, I need you to find me something good.
I think so. Like, I tried it a couple weeks ago where I was just like, you have, the way our church is, we had the middle camera, the two Roman cameras, and I told them, this service, I only want close-up shots. Don't do any wide shots, only tight shots. And something like that, it forces them to have to look for those tight shots. And like, okay, what is this? Because it's easy to just do a wide shot where you get like 3-4 people or you go to the next. But now when you have to, and it draws into that intimacy because now you're close up on it, like you zooming in, you're not farther away, but it's also like, it's a dance because it's like, I'm going to get the shot, but I don't want to interrupt them because the moment you see them look over at you, they get interrupted because now they feel like, okay, I'm being watched. Right. But it's like a dance, you get it and you move on. And it's like stuff like that is like little ways to be creative that kind of, it's like a refresh for the camera people as well. Like I don't necessarily send them for a shot, like give me the shot, but it's like stuff like that where it's like, okay, you know what? Or like where it's like, like use the, like now they kind of use the goal post where they'll shoot through the railings and stuff like that. And it's like, but that just comes with a prompt, and then it's like just giving them the freedom to like, no, because like they're my eyes. I see what they show me. Right. So it's like, unless I know something is happening, I see what they show me. So it's like giving them the freedom to like,
and I think it's also based on the director because everyone knows everyone differently. So like if I'm on cams and I know Steph is directing, I'm like, oh, I can be a little free because Steph wants this. Mm-hmm. Now you bring a connection between the camera person and the director because you're like, oh, if Steph is here, I know Steph's heart. I know what he wants. I know the kind of shot that he asks for. So let me spice it up a little bit. Yeah.
But it goes back to your point about there is also something to having multiple directors where it's like because every director is going to bring something different. They're going to have something else that they want, and it's not one is good and one is bad. Because when Malik directs. Like there's a certain kind of energy and a more bubbly like energy that he have that I don't have. And I can see it in the camera people. It doesn't mean what I do is bad or like, okay, I'm bad cop, he good cop. It just means that like, it's a different kind of energy and they react to it, but they react to it differently with me. And it just adds where everybody's doing something different.
So that keeps it creative also. It's extending your team too. Yeah. And also I think not only angles, like I don't talk angles because I don't know angles, but also coloring your stream where it's not just like you flipped on a TV. Right. You know, I talk about it all the time with the guys. It's like I need something on the screen, whether it's some lower third somewhere while we're talking, this is the praise team, like color the experience. That also what people don't realize, it engages the people who are watching. Yeah. It gives them something to look at or look forward to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Also, I think it's very important that leaders give your media team something to be creative with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that means your style of preaching, the way you deliver a word. It may seem like I'm a wild animal, but I am very intentional.
Yes, you are.
I'm very spontaneous when I'm in the pulpit. You really don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but that forces them to have to be creative. Yeah. Okay, you don't know where Pastor Mel's going. You might want to stay out of his way, type of thing. Literally. But sometimes when I look up and see what Steph and what they're doing with what I'm doing, it's very good. We've done blocking together, right? Blocking during my sermons where, when we did, I did the one with David and Goliath. And I said to Steph, okay, I need the camera to be like right behind me as if I'm looking. So we went through actual blocking for that sermon. So leaders, don't be lackluster and expect your team to be creative. It's meet your team with creative.
Give them something to work with.
Yeah, meet your team with something creative. And that's why I try to keep that open. Sermon titles need to be creative. Yeah. The power of a tree. That's boring. That's boring. There's only so much we can do with that. Put some effort into it. Sermon titles should not be more than 7 words. I'm preaching today from New York has been good to me. Lord, you've been good to me, so kind. No. No. Yeah. Have graphics that meet your sermon titles. Make sure your sermon titles are catchy, that they're attractive, that they open the mind to the person who is listening and let them know, I can't wait to see where they're going with this. Yeah. Right? So leaders, you have a challenge to be creative too. Most times you see leaders who are like, well, my team is not creative. And I'm like, baby, what you do is not creative. So what are we doing? So
your team is a reflection of you, basically.
Your team is a reflection of what you're presenting. Yeah. So take a step, and also that doesn't mean you have to be a wild animal. It means you have to be good at what you do. Yeah. It means you have to take time to perfect what intentional. You do. Be intentional. If you know you're not a preacher, but you're a teacher, now I'm taking time to have notes that I'm sending to my team that they're creating graphics for, so that's up so that we can follow along. Yeah. I'm telling you, it takes so much more than people think to do this. And for leaders who can't adapt, I honestly feel sorry for them because it's only going to get worse. Yeah, social media is not going to tomorrow be less of an impact on the world. Yeah. It's only going to be more. Yeah. So if you don't want to be involved with it, if you can't do your own post and then you have a problem going. It's only going to get worse. And worse, I mean like in a good way. I don't mean like social media is going to destroy the world. I mean, it's only going to get more engaging. Yeah.
But it'll get worse for those who don't want to be a part. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are still like that. Yeah. A lot of people in our church miss stuff that we're doing because they don't know what YouTube is. We put singles out. They don't know how to download the singles. Yeah. And instead of us taking time, right, and I'll take the responsibility. Instead of us taking time to be like, hey, who don't know how to download singles? We sort of assumed everybody knew how to do it. Yeah, very true. The easiest thing we do in the world is we send this link in our loop, text, right? They click on it. That's easy for them. But for those who don't have Loop, because Loop is quite expensive, how are they like making sure that seniors have access to that stuff? Yeah. And then you're wondering why you have a lack of engagement is you haven't taken the time to make sure people can engage. So it takes a lot, man. You got to sit down with your team. I talk to our media team often about things I want done. Intros and outros. Yeah. I dislike just a broadcast just starting. Yeah. Because what people don't realize too, I think I used to argue with Steph all the time about countdowns. Like, why do we always need a countdown? A countdown is a waiting room. It gives people a time, a moment to converse. Is that a word? That's not a word, right?
Yes, it is.
Converse before we get started. If you ever look at our room, they're greeting each other. Hey, welcome. Like, it gives people a moment before we start.
Come on.
Intros give you a moment to understand where this church is going. How upbeat are they? You know, intros, outros, just flicking a stream off. Oh, we done. We see you later. Click. It's just like done.
Treating it like
Abrupt.
a production. Treating it like your favorite show that you like to watch.
Yeah.
There's a reason why
we did credits for a long time at Fresh Fire. Yeah, we did. Right? At the end of every service, who did what? And like, you got to take time.
Yeah.
You really do.
It's kind of like conversations where you would never come up to someone and be like, just start talking to them. It's random.
Yeah, there's an intro to the
And then walk away when you're done.
Right. There's a high and there's a buy.
It must be special.
You know what I'm saying? You don't just.
There's a high and there's a buy. That's good.
That's so good though.
Yeah.
And that sounds light, but like, make sure your broadcast has a high and a goodbye.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
That is so good. Yo, we coined that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
We put that out there.
Yeah.
Make sure your broadcast has a hello and a goodbye. That's so good.
That was very good.
Maybe y'all will do it now.
I was about to say, Malik, I think you need to make a high and a goodbye.
Get it done. But I mean it. I think it's so necessary. I think it really it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It does make a difference. It makes a world of a difference.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up. What's your final take on media? What you mean? That's my goodbye. Talk about highs.
So you didn't use my word on me.
Talk about highs and goodbyes. He said, "Let's wrap this up, man."
Yeah, y'all can. I want to say this. Y'all can send us questions, right? You can email us. What's your email?
PCMM5180.
Put that on the screen. Yo, if you're watching this, I didn't mean to say yo, I'm sorry. If you're watching this, you have questions about stream, like send it to us. We want to help you all. Yeah. We want to increase kingdom quality. It is not just about us. It's not just about Pilgrim. I mean that. We want to help. Send us questions. We can help you. These guys are so good at what they do. Trust me. If we're available, we have a guy here who mixes streams. I ain't gonna say no name.
He mixes. He's actually behind the boards.
You contact me. No, he did. He turned the camera.
Oh no, he did not.
It's on your arm too. It ain't even on you.
Nice.
No, he didn't.
What is going on?
But we have sound techs. We have people who mix streams. We got cameramen. We got
it all.
We got it all.
We got it all. Seriously, we have it all.
We can help you. We want to help you. We're not a selfish ministry. So reach out to us if you have questions or whatever. And
invite us to your church.
But yeah,
I'll come.
He will.
Yeah,
I'll come.
He will. And I will view on stream so that I can evaluate your stream.
That was good.
We love y'all though. Thank y'all for watching.
Yeah.
Hit that bell. He ain't saying none of that stuff.
I was going to, it was in my notes, but
he started it by saying, "Okay, let's wrap this up."
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Well, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every time we post, when we post. And this is the podcast room.
See you guys later.
Later, y'all.